There are well over 1,000 species of geckos, and today I'm going to tell you which species is the perfect one for you based on what you want out of the animal. Whether you are fresh out of the boat into the reptile community or you are a seasoned keeper that has been doing this for years and years, definitely a gecko species for you. So ease on into it with number one, the easy geckos. They're going to be a group of geckos I've picked out that are going to be a little bit more on the easy side. For the first person coming in, they don't really know too much about reptiles. They're just dipping their little pinky toe in on it. They don't have a keen understanding of husbandry, and they just want to start out making sure that they have a good, reliable pet that they can take care of. I'd probably beat a dead horse, This has been beaten to death because we talked already about it in this video, and I will say it again and again, and that is going to be crested geckos. Not get any easier than crested geckos, boys and girls. You have an animal that does not necessarily require heat or UVB. Making sure that the temperatures in your home range around the 69 to 78 degrees temperatures, and you are good to go for that species. For the most part, they do eat a pre-made diet of the crested gecko food, companies such as Rapashi or Pangaea readily producing these for these guys, while also feeding on live insects as well. And all you pretty much just need a good enclosure for. You need to make sure you're misting once to twice a day depending on where you live out in the world, and you're pretty much set. The gecko is that easy. A very forgiving species. Mistakes you might make, definitely not a sensitive one, and one that I think is great for the guy just starting out. Or girl, we don't discriminate over here. Now, if crested geckos don't float your boat, gargoyle geckos are virtually the same thing. They come from the same area, New Caledonia, and require the same husbandry for the most part. Leopard geckos are another great specific choice. While they do require a basking temperature or some sort of heated temperature, it's going to be the same thing, not necessarily requiring UVB, just eating live insects. A very durable, hardy species, and a very forgiving one as well. But hey, maybe you're the guy or gal doesn't have too much space. You're either still living with your parents, you only have your room to work with, you're living in a small studio apartment, because let's be honest, my god, the economy's in a rut, the recession is here, old Dakota's not making money anymore. Now, if that's the case for you, this next section is going to be your go-to, and that's going to be number two, the small or micro species. There are hundreds, probably, of tiny gecko species out there, and unfortunately, like we just mentioned with this recession, old Dakota does not own every single one of them. Yet. However, I do own a few over here that I think make absolutely fantastic gecko species to keep. Number one is going to be talking about the mourning gecko. I know, everyone has mourning gecko. Mourning gecko is absolutely awesome for two big reasons. Number one, it stays small. You can create beautiful bioactive vivariums like in this video we talked about right here. It can be a communal species, so you can keep multiple in the same enclosure without anything going wrong. They are parthenogenic, which means if you have multiple going on, they will actually readily produce eggs, so you will have babies in there. And then you can raise a small gecko army until you get too many geckos, just rendering this small gecko species redundant because you'll need to have a massive enclosure for your 300 mourning geckos if you decide to keep all of them. Alright, maybe not the best one, but the second option is definitely going to be the Urodactylodes, the chameleon gecko, my personal favorite of all the New Caledonian geckos. The lychee gets too much love. Look at that glass. That's why lychee doesn't get the number one choice for me. However, the chameleon gecko is definitely going to be it. Caledonian species, so like we mentioned in the previous section, you are going to have ease of care, a hardy animal. They don't need all these basking lights and these doohads going on. They're perfectly fine in a room temperature environment. Best thing I love about the Urodactylodes is the fact that they are a handleable smaller micro gecko species. Only coming in at about this big. This is what I like to call the finger gecko because you plop it onto your finger and it just kind of chills there. That is going to be a rarity when it comes to the small gecko game, and one of the reasons why I love that species so much. This recommendation I want to make in this section is going to be the Clemeri, the neon day gecko. This is an absolutely fantastic species. It pretty much combines everything that we talked about before. You're going to have a gecko that is communal, so you can keep multiple inside the enclosure. They are small, so you can create beautiful bioactive vivariums for them. Very nice, very demure. Is demure still around? Am I old? They're also somewhat of a handleable species, not as much as the Urodactylodes, but definitely not as flighty as some of the other gecko species we'll be talking about a little bit later. In all, I absolutely love the neon day gecko, and it wouldn't be a video talking about geckos without them. Alright, let's say you're the opposite. You don't want a small gecko, you are a big, grizzly man, you're a man's man, and you don't want no tiny geckos going on in here. No, what you want is going to be the biggest gecko ever. You want to flex, and definitely not overcompensating for something else. If you are the big burly man that I think you are, then this section is going to be the one for you, and that's going to be number 3, the big geckos. Now, if we're talking about big boy geckos, there really is only one that takes the cake. However, cons, look at the glass. We're going to talk about everyone's dream gecko out there, the Leachianis. Leachianis, the world's largest gecko that you can own in captivity, an absolutely amazing species, as everyone thinks. However, the reality of owning a Leachie is, although the Tokay gets such a bad rep for being territorial, defensive, and biting, I have noticed definitely in season, Leachie geckos act the exact same. You will have a baby Leachie that'll be pretty fine for the most part. It's not going to be trying to bite or anything or running away. However, once it reaches that sexual maturity, I definitely see a flipped switch. And during these hotter months, as you can tell by my sweat stains and the fact that my entire face is getting red, that is only the fact that in seasons like this, these guys can get a little snippy and a little defensive in their cage. While not as bad as the Tokay geckos, once you get the Leachies out of the enclosure, they definitely seem to calm down, meaning this is more of a territorial issue than a straight defensive behavior. Still something to mention, guys are not as handleable as social media will make you think. However, if you are looking for a giant gecko, it literally does not get bigger than the Leachianis. Hey, I get it. Times are tough. Not everybody has $4, $5, $6, $1,500 to spend on a Leachie gecko, so let's do the next best thing, the second largest gecko in captivity, and that is going to be the Tokay gecko. If you guys didn't notice, I'm a little biased because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 20 something Tokays over here. I absolutely love the Tokay gecko. I think they make absolutely incredible display animals. I absolutely love the parental instincts that these geckos have, meaning you can keep eggs inside with the parents. Those eggs will hatch and the parents will actually take care of the baby for the first couple of months, which I think is such a cool thing to witness. I can only say pros. There is, of course, the con that they are a little spicy. Maybe they bite. Maybe your hands bleed when you put your hand in the enclosure. However, when you have a species this beautiful, I mean, could you imagine describing a Tokay gecko? You have a blue gecko with a red to orange polka dot pattern. It sounds something made up in a children's book, except you can have it inside your home, and if you're brave enough, inside your own hand. Not for very long, because they'll probably bite it and run away. Quick, boys and girls, before we move on with today's video, I just want to talk a little bit about the bioactive website. It's going to be DBCB. Now, we mentioned it a little bit earlier with the small species and bioactive vivariums, but over on this site is going to be your one-stop shop for everything bioactive. It's going to include a variety of different plant species. We got your arboreal plants, we've got your trailing plants, we have air plants, Tillandsia, bromeliads, ferns, everything you need to build a beautiful vivarium when it comes to plants. Personal bioactive substrate that we use in each and every one of our bioactive builds. You see these beautiful enclosures? That is the substrate that gets the job done. Drainage layer, your cleanup crew, your isopods, springtails, things like that. Pretty much if it's a bioactive thing, we have it on the website. If you guys want to take the guesswork out and let your boy do it for you, we also offer plant and bioactive kits. Just tell us what enclosure size you need, we do the rest for you, and you get a kit that's perfectly fitted for that enclosure. If that's something that interests you and you want to help your boy out, support y'all, the stuff that we do over here, then head on over to the link down in the description or by going to dbprojectjungle.com. Thank you for my little spiel. I've talked enough. Let's get back into the video. Let's say you're an experienced keeper and you want something that's going to be something to interact with, right? Maybe the Tokay isn't the one for you. You want something with some size, but you don't want to get bit every time you're doing some cage maintenance going on in there. This is going to be the section for you, and that'll be number 4, the handleable reptiles, geckos. A lot of these are honestly going to be recaps a little bit, just due to the fact that there does seem to be a correlation between an easy reptile and a handleable reptile. Not all the time, but for the ones that I have in my personal collection that I talk about on these videos. Of course, once again, crested gecko, a very handleable gecko. They can be a little jumpy as babies, but as they grow up, they become a lot more calmed down, especially once you get weight on them. I mean, just, you think this thing's hopping anywhere? No, absolutely not. Also talked about them a little bit, the Urodactylodes, the finger gecko. I have never seen a micro gecko species that is able to just go like this and it can hang out on your finger. An absolutely fantastic thing. If you're looking for something with a little bit more size on it, but is not going to be as temperamental as, let's say, the Leachianis, the Chihuahua gecko would be a great choice. Same region as the Leachie, I call it the Leachie's smaller cousin because they are a little bit small. Well, they're very smaller. I mean, world's largest gecko, let's be honest. However, the truth of the matter is they are a lot more of a a handleable species, and they look absolutely awesome. This mossy color going on to it, this cool camouflage pattern going on. A very cool species of gecko that looks great and one you can handle as well. But hey, maybe you don't care about any of that. Maybe you're an experienced keeper, so the easy reptiles aren't for you. Maybe you don't want any small things going on, but you also don't want something absolutely gigantic that's gonna take up a 4x2x4 enclosure for one gecko. Maybe you really just don't care about handling or anything like that. Well, if that's the case for you, then this last section is going to be your go-to, and that's going to be number 5, the display gecko species. This section is for people like myself that just like pretty things. They like walking down, building really cool enclosures, and seeing a very beautiful gecko inside those vivariums. Geckos are going to be the one that comes to mind the most, right? They are so absolutely beautiful, and they come in such a variety of different species, coming in different colors, different sizes. A few we absolutely adore are going to be Phelsuma lineata, the lion day gecko, an absolutely amazing smaller species such as Phelsuma grandius, the giant day gecko, just in a smaller package. These beautiful black lines going down the sword dorsal, some red markings going on, and of course you're going to get that classic neon green color. Phelsuma clemeri, the neon day gecko we talked about a little bit. I mean, come on, check out this B-roll, boys and girls. It does not get any more beautiful than the neon day gecko. Standing eyes, maybe you want a gecko that has this cool zebra-like pattern, a neon blue tail, and a bright green head going on. Once again, it sounds like you make it up in the children's books, but truth be told, I can look right over there and know that they are real. Unless I'm having an episode and hallucinating again, but I don't think that's the case. Now, while we don't own this species over here yet, some subtle foreshadowing for you boys and girls, a multitude of different species of Uroplatus are going to be a go-to. I mean, how can you beat that mossy camouflage pattern? It looks like a dead leaf, but it's a gecko. It looks like lichen attached to a branch, but it's a gecko. Absolutely fantastic. If you are looking for something that really shocks it out and brings it out, I don't know the words that I'm saying right now, then those species are gonna be the ones for you. You got it, my fellow boys and girls. Thank you so much. Let me know in the comment section, was there a geckos I should have talked about a little bit? Did I miss something that should have had the spotlight? If you guys want to check out some more videos from me, here's a playlist that has a bunch of different videos, or here's a cool video right here that I definitely recommend. As always, thank you so much for taking the time of your day to follow us over here at Dakota Blue Exotics. I will see you guys next time, but until then, Jesus, it's hot. Goodbye.